Consultancy in the initial stages is basically documentation, which may not have a lot of financial outlay, unless like in construction. This one we normally emphasize a lot on it when we are evaluating contractors, but not really the consultants. But again, we want to see that you have a firm which is running, which is financially on foot. So show us you have at least a bank account with a bank. You have, that is by presentation of bank statements. When you are not to present your financial capacity, present bank statements that you are running an account with a bank for the firm. Give us income statements, that is profit and loss. We can see your turnover, how busy you've been as a firm. Show us credit facilities you have that bank is willing to give you overdrafts and all that. Your current assets, these assets you can easily dispose of in terms you need cash. So we will know that you are financially capable to undertake that documentation in terms of paperwork, in terms of movement, traveling, accommodation, and all that. So basically, that is what we look at. Now in government, evaluation normally ends there. Because the firm which gets more marks among all those ends up being awarded or recommended for award of that tender. But in private sector, or sometimes in one-man projects, they go further. You also want to compete on the cost, how much you are charging for the project. In government, the projects, you normally use the skills office for building and civil engineering projects. It's a document in our ministry, which you also find being used in almost all the other parastatals and the like. So for government, we normally don't go for financial bidding. But for private sector projects, we'll also go for financial bidding, because for a private person, also the cost of that work is important to them for the consultant services. Government actually want to get the best and to encourage people to empower them as professionals. So when you get there as a private project, you also know that you are competing for the financially for the job. So as you do your costing, make sure you put a cost which is competitive, but which will make you complete the job. Of course, you do your estimation by the number of hours you will need to do the work, the employees you are likely to engage, the other costs you are likely to incur in terms of traveling and all that. You make sure you put all your costs there, bearing in mind that you are competing with the people, and also bearing in mind that you're in business. You are not in a charitable state. You need to make a profit in that. The only thing I've learned about this financial bidding is that it is normally allocated a very small marks. In most cases, 20%. You find technical criteria carries 80%. And that is why you should be very keen on what to present under the technical bidding. Of course, you know the calculation about how it is normally done, that whoever presents the lowest bid gets the entire 20 marks. And that one becomes now the denominator of how to gauge the other people, how much they get. So if you score so well in your technical bidding, and you charge so highly in your financial bidding, you may still end up getting the job. I saw it happen one time. We were doing an evaluation for a water project, and the highest financial bidder, also the highest technical bidder, and he got the job. Because the other people had scored so poorly in the technical bidding. So when he was getting around 75 out of 80, then they were around 50, that range. So yeah, they actually, he beat all of them. He got the job at a good price because they were able to demonstrate competencies. So as you are presenting the bid, make sure you get because that evaluation criteria is normally attached in the bid document. It is meant to assist you as you are compiling your document, to go through it. Look at it, what is required, and make sure as you are presenting, go through the criteria, go through the requirements, and make sure you present everything that is there. Make sure it is very comprehensive as per the requirements. Give all the information required for the bid. Attach all the relevant documents. If you are told about experience, the only way you can know that you have people who have been working for so many years is by attaching their certificates. Not just stating. Attach their certificates, attach their CVs, and certificates are very important. A CV is just, you're the one who make, but a certificate gives people confidence that the dates stated there are correct. So make sure you attach to the certificates which are required, the CVs which are required, and any other relevant document that has been stated. Use that one as your checklist. So you'll also be told how to bind your document. The number of copies, the way it should be arranged, make sure you follow that. Because the people who are doing the evaluation may not want to struggle going through your document, looking for information which can easily be presented for ease of evaluation. Because the evaluators may miss a document which is actually in your compilation, simply because you put it in the wrong place. Make sure you arrange your document properly, you sequence it well, you also append it with the, make sure the paging is properly done with a good, what do you call it, the front page, where you normally enumerate what you presented. Yeah, context page. Make sure you put everything well and state it clearly, so that when people are looking for certain information, they go to content page, they can get it. In case of doubt, they know how to get where to get your information. So actually, bidding, the difference between winning a tender and losing as a consultant is largely on how you present your bid, not really on how good you are. But you'd like to make it on how good you are. Let people win jobs because they are good, but not because they know to present. We've been told that some people have got offices for that work, but take it upon yourself as a director or as a person in charge of the firm to make sure that you are the last person to look at it and make sure it is properly done. So evaluation criteria will normally look for the following: conformity with the requirements of the RFP in terms of monetary requirements. That one I've talked about. You must meet all of them. You miss one, you are out. Demonstrate capacity in terms of personnel. That one I've talked about. CVs. Attach evidence of specific projects, assignments handled by various personnel in the firm. They attach and document evidence of the firm's experience, by of contracts done, recommendation, recognitions. Maybe you did a good job somewhere and you are recognized by the government or by any firm, organization. Put it in your document. It can give you a mark, an added advantage. Capacity, capability we've talked about, bank statements, audited accounts, letters of credit, evidence of asset ownership. If you own your office, let us know that the office is yours, not rented. Firm's capacity in terms of office space, equipment, transport. And then as you complete, you go to the checklist, make sure your document is well labeled, it is well addressed, it is in the format required, all the required attachments are there, and you make sure you address the requirements of the RFP. That is all. Thank you.
Another big clap for USA. I think you can agree with the two presenters and they have given us a lot of tips, isn't it? And the key word here is presentation, presentation, presentation. So don't get knocked out because of poor presentation and letting in all the other people who are not as good designers as you are to get the jobs. So another big clap for Mutua and Borioki. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite the two of you, the two presenters. So this is the time for questions.
Good morning. Yeah, I'd like to thank Architect Murioki and KS Mutua for the wonderful presentation. There's something KS Mutua mentioned about personnel, and I'd just like clarification. You find that sometimes maybe in the document, they want the company director to have a certain number of experience, but then they also have maybe other personnel who they require. Maybe it's a high, they could say maybe they want a director who has 20 years experience, and then they want maybe the chief, the main architect or the main QS also to have 20 years experience. Is it wrong if for the director, you attach the CV of the director, but this same director has the same number of experience, or must you now look for somebody else? Because I think that's where sometimes the issue arises. Because you may have the experience, but you don't know anyone else who has the experience, but you can also serve as both the director and maybe the main person.
Mine is like maybe a comment. Let me thank Yosumutu and Architect Kabugi for the nice presentation. And as they say, the key word is how you present yourself, you market yourself. Because when we did a major request for proposal, I think around 2009 when we had stalled projects, also I think when we had major consultancies. And the main failure of most consultants is the ego that I'm known. You say, who does not know such and such a firm? And what we were insisting, don't assume the people marking for you know you. Suppose this marking is done in another country or in China. How will they know this is, you are Armstrong and Duncan, you are Symbion and those kind of things? Assume if you are doing an examination, don't say the marker knows me, I'm leaving this out. Put out your best and then you will win. And I found those people who are done projects. These projects which in Jerry Marks, where is she? Either at the master's level or even at the graduate level. They were doing very well because they know how to do a nice presentation. You give all the information that is required here. Why I stood up, I wanted to comment on the competencies and the competitiveness of the consultants competing among themselves or against themselves. When I was working, we had pushed so much to register consultants in various categories so that you compete against the people at your level, the weight mates. Big firms will never let these small firms grow. If you say the number of years you have worked will count, the bank statement you have will count, the size of your farm and the experience. What about the small people who are starting from college? When are they going to win a job? So my proposal was to categorize the registered consultants in the categories. If it is a big firm, maybe with 5 partners and more, and maybe have done many projects, they can be categorized, maybe they do big projects, and then maybe up to 3 levels. And then we register them in that level, like contractors. If you have small contractors or big contractors competing with small contractors, they will never win. It's like a wrestling. That's why they categorize. You compete within your weights, your weight mate. If you are a small flyer, a small time fly, you'll be crushed and you will never grow. I'm sure small farms have never gotten a government job, and that is the reason. My take is, Muli, you can follow it up. But the people who are assisting actually were even the consultants themselves. AAK resisted it. They say when you are a tester, you are the same. You are the same, maybe academically, but you are not the same, maybe with the experience and the resources you have. Professor Tarukawa, you are here. I saw you.
Yes,
from the University of South. Are you in your
University?
Yeah. He's our colleague. Most people do not know him. He's a big man in South Africa. We have worked with him before for many years. I know that's what they do in South Africa. They have a range. there's a range of projects you can compete, there's a range of what you can do, so that we are fair to the rest of the people. The small people can come, when you grow, you move up. When you are at that level, compete at that level. So that we do not have many projects to be spread over. If we have so many projects, let's see how we allow everybody to be able to get this cake. Thank you very much.
In terms of categorizing consultants, I think it is true, it's important, and it is long overdue. I think we are in the process of preparing a document to freshly register consultants and categorize them accordingly. So in the next few weeks or so, there will be a document for advertisement. Please apply and give the information as required. I'm sure you've gotten the point that's presented. And I think rule number one for the evaluators, we will always evaluate based on the information you've given us. It's not a question of whether we know you, we don't know you. We only know you by what you've given us. Thank you.
Let me ask a question to both Kabugi and Mutua. Thank you very much for wonderful presentation. Mine is on financial. When we are asked to give financial details, most of us outside there, days are dry, your accounts are not looking so nice, and we wonder whether we are giving you, when you see bank statement reading probably 1,000 shillings, the balance, we feel probably we shall be marked, shall be given very few marks. Does that matter? Because now you give, probably we have given auditor accounts, we have given bank statements, and they are really looking not so positive. That gives us a lot of fear, especially for those who, when we are bidding in that direction. Kindly comment on that.
Thank you, Architect Muriuki and US Tour for your well-presented topics. I think the information you have given us is quite enriching. But I wanted to ask this question about cooperation and the numbers of architects in this country. You rightly say that in many countries offices have more than 100 architects, some 200. But I'm sure in this country we have very small projects. We have very small projects. Sometimes we are actually underemployed in this country as architects, because the kind of work we have, even in the range of 2 billion, can be run by one architect. So if you look at the kind of work we have here, and the number of architects, it is difficult for us to be able to assemble an office of more than 30 architects because of the kind of jobs we have. So if you rate us on numbers in offices, it will be totally unfair to most of us. Because as I sit here, I find it difficult for an architect to work 8 hours a day because of the kind of engagement we are subjected or provided. So, is it a must that some of your projects the government is offering as tenders for us to bid? Does it require more than 5 architects to really work on them? Thank you.
Members of the committee, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My question is not directly to our 2 presenters, but it would be to anybody from NCA who is in the house. I would be interested in hearing how that categorization of contractors has worked and how it would work for us as consultants, because it's been suggested by the State Department. If anybody could just give us a slight opinion if they're in the house. Thank you.
My name is Architect Rukenya Geshoki. Thank you, the Architect Muriuki and QS Mutua. I want to go straight to my question. You talked of types of RFPs, and I know there is a standard request for proposal, SRP. Now you say there's a direct RFP, the two-stage RFP, and the RFP with financial component. My observation is that when you have the direct RFP, you basically are doing two things: to pre-qualifying or shortlisting, and then the technical proposal. Now, what you've seen is you end up with very huge documents, which we wonder how effective we can be in evaluating. Why don't you follow what the standard request of proposal requires? That it assumes that is already a short list of consultants obtained having done an expression of interest. Then the other thing is, when you combine these documents and you list the mandatory documents, they are never, my suggestion is, why are they never checked at that point of opening? Because later on you hear that you did not attach a certain document that you clearly know that you did. Why can't we, like the contractors, say these are mandatory documents? When you open a document, you go through them and say, yes, the document has all of it. Because later on we hear you failed because a document was not found or something. Because this leaves room for somebody to either remove it or just decide not to see it. Thank you very much.
My name is QS Mwenda Kionga. Thank you, the presenters, for that lively presentation. As a follow-up on what QS Nyationgora talked about, I would recommend, I am not quite sure whether bidding as a consortium is legal. I think you might have to look at that. Because in most cases, as it was said by either QS Mutua or QS Morioki, in most cases, if whenever I've done bids as a consortium, one of the firms maybe has not provided some documents and we all get disqualified, which I think is unfair. So as you do the list of, as we classify the consultants in terms of their technical capacity or maybe financial capacity experience, it's also important to suggest that if it's an architectural firm or a QS firm, it should compete with and if it's a QS firm, should compete with a QS firm and not as a consortium. I think that would bring more fairness in these proposals, in what you do in the proposals. Because from my experience, the bids I've done as trademark quantity surveyors, that's the name of our firm, I have won maybe 50–60% of them. But the bids I've done in consortia, we have won maybe less than 10%. And this is something that we need to agree on, or to maybe to change the law so that each firm, each profession competes with another profession. Number two is about plucking of papers from the bids. This is common. We must put it the way it is. This is very common. And not only plucking off the papers for the mandatory requirements, even for the technical proposal documents, some of them are plucked off so that the firm, the one that is kind of tailored to win the project, wins the project. This is a fact. So there should be something to take care of this, so that the consultants are, motivated to compete. I can tell you, I know there are some consortia, there are some consultants who don't bid for government projects because of that major problem. Then number three is about the office. Now, in this era of technology, you don't have to have a big office, because you could be having a virtual office. I could be having my office in London, and I would be having someone working there today on a project. So you need to also think about that as you evaluate, as you do your evaluation criteria, so that you don't evaluate someone because of the size, a firm because of the size of the office. I could be having very many offices around the globe. Thank you very much.
Kigondu architect, architect Muyoki, QS Mutua, on the issue of evaluation or bids as a consortium. To echo what my colleague has said, now the challenge is we go hunting. I go hunting for a QS. I have a QS next to me, and I ask him, can you team up with me for this project? He tells me, no, I can't work with you. I'm teaming up with architect so and so. So I go to the next one, and he's also occupied. So you go to the engineers similarly. So by the time you're actually putting up your team, you probably time is running against you, because you have forced us now as the lead, the one who is leading, whether it's the architect or the QS, to hunt for the other team members. Yet, ideally, I think it is your responsibility as the employer to get us as architects, then pre-qualify and shortlist us. Then now team us up with other QSs, with other engineers, so that it is not our duty now to hunt for the QS, because this QS looks at me and says, I'd rather work with trial. You get, because he's thinking with through trial he'll get more marks. Okay, you get me? So we have a challenge there, and I go and I had an experience. And the last one that was done by housing, I went to a surveyor. Surveyor Hekima, he agreed. Then when we had run along a few days before presentation, he says, by the way, I can't be with you because I'm with the other team. Now, last minute, can you imagine, last minute he wants to walk away from my team? You get, but I think it's because he thought the cake was better on the other side. So my proposal is that you take architects on their own, I mean, the different disciplines on their own. Then it is your responsibility now to pick and set up the consortium yourselves. When it comes to the issue of the projects of a similar nature. Now, Architect Muriuki talked about prison. If I look in this room, I will tell you only 1% has done a prison. So if you ask us now to bid for a prison, most likely we'll all score very what? Very low for that project of a prison. But ideally, a prison is a what? Can be considered in the collective group of what? Institutions of control. So it doesn't even have to be a prison, as long as you have done a project that has what? Similar issues you're trying to control. If it is a school, it is an institution of control. If it is a hospital, it's an institution of control. So why are you looking at what? Why are you disqualifying us, giving us little marks because we have never done a prison? So, and then on the other hand, when you talked about the experience in terms of time, in terms of the years of of the team, and maybe 24 years in experience or 30 years in experience. And yet, the projects I've done is a house for Architect Situma, a house for somebody else. And there is an architect who is 3 years in experience, and he did Kenyatta National Hospital, isn't it? So he's 3 years, but he's mega in terms of what? Size. So I think that we have to come up with a what? With a criteria that is not just 24 years.